IGIS, Integrated Geo Instruments and Services Private Limited. The new era of locating yourself. Design, development and production of geoscientific instruments.
The Integrated Geo Instruments, in short, IGIS, the leading manufacturers of geophysical instruments, have a wide range of precipimeters, well logging equipments, water level indicators, recorders, borehole cameras, magnetometers, and so on. This video explanation about our model, well logging equipment model Dmpl 2. Before I start the explanation of the equipment, I would just give you the detailed explanation how the instrument is connected. The instrument is supplied with a cable of 500 meters. Dmpl 2 model has a facility of two versions. We have PVC cable as well as armored cable for the customers, wherein considering the cost constraint. Even our PVC cable are strong enough to handle the field conditions, as they are supplied with a combination of copper and steel. And the cable which are being used for about 4 to 5 years. They are able to withstand. Now here we are demonstrating with an armored cable. We usually supply 400 meters, but if as per the customer's requirement, we can give you 500 and 600 meters cable as well for Dmpl 2. Here I am just showing you the procedure how we are going to connect. Joining both becomes long normal. This joint, the probe is connected to the winch cable. Here it's very simple to connect. You have the pins here. Position the pin like this. Once it is positioned here, just turn it. It is locked. It's that simple. And once it is done, you just screw this. One thing to be taken care is, once it is locked, please don't use any spanner here. If you are using the spanner, you are going to damage the connector. After it is placed, fix it and use the spanner just for one click to tighten it. Don't tighten it totally, putting a lot of effort. Just a single lock for locking the thing. Afterwards, tape it. This is just for a double protection. Our probes are supplied with O-rings. There is no chance of water going into it. However, for a double protection, we suggest you to place a tape to it. Now our probe is ready for the logging operation. Before I do it, I have placed the P contact just near to the bore, straight near to the bore, which is connected to the P ground here in the instrument, and C ground is connected through the winch. The cable is going to the C ground. This would be somewhere around, say nearly about 15 meters or so. Let us lower the probe. Usually logging is done two ways. One is down logging, another one is up logging. The data would be the same, but always it is advised to take the up logging. The reason is, during the down logging, if there is any possibility of collapsing, because being the fresh bore, there might be a chance wherein the probe is not lowering fast and there might be a gap. But in case of uplogging, as you are pulling the probe, the cable is intact straight, so the measurement is appropriate. That's the reason it is always advisable to use the uplogging. Downlogging is just for a reference. Now I am setting this to 0. As always, setting it to 0 is the downward direction this way. Never do it in the other direction. It would damage the connector. And one person holding it is always advisable, because there would be a lot of stress on the cable and there is a possibility of this slipping. That's the reason he is holding it here and keeping it accordingly. Similarly, one more guy near the winch to release the cable. Now, in this case, usually logging is done in a fresh borehole to construct the tube well. Here, for the sake of demonstration, we have taken an existing borewell and making use of it. So I am just lowering the probe into the bore. In case of fresh borewell contractor will give you the depth of bore being dug. Here I know the depth. It is around 60 meters. Now I am lowering the probe. Before I do, I made it, set it to 0, and my team, he has released the lock, relieved it to loosen the winch mechanism and slowly lowering the probe. This winch is a manual driven as well as a motor driven. During the operation of lowering the cable, you can manually do it without using the motor, or else you can use the motor and lower it using our speed control unit. Today, as we don't have the power source, we are doing it manually here. Or else the logger is always supplied with a 600 VA generator to drive the motor, and the speed control unit controls the speed of the winch to lower and pull up the cable. Probe, now the bore depth is 48 meters. Depth is 48 meters. Now we are starting the logging operation. I would explain the further connections. Here, as mentioned, we have lowered the probe up to the bottom of the depth, 48.4 meters, and here we have connected the depth encoder to the machine. This is the counter, and this connection is the winch. Here we have an option for generator as well. We can connect a generator and run wherein the speed control unit can be used to control the speed of the motor. Here we have not bought the generator, that is the reason we are operating it manually. The instrument has an option of driving it manually as well as running with the generator. In case of when you are running a generator, we would connect the generator to the instrument and power source to the instrument, and the connections in this way. Now let us connect the power source for the instrument. Here you have a notch, just position it here and tighten it. Similarly, the other side also make sure the notch is placed and then tighten it accordingly. This way the connection is connected, and here we have an application well log. Double click on it. When you are using the motor to control the speed, we have the speed controlling switch, and we have an option of up logging, off, and down logging. During the down logging, you are positioning in the down option, and during the up logging, you are positioning the up logging to drive the probe up. Here we have already opened the application, and now the operation is up logging. This model Dmpl2 being a continuous logger, here the data, we don't need to worry about positioning the probe. We can receive the data from the bottom to the top, as the data is thrown in nanoseconds and the graph is plotted from the bottom to the top in a continuous way. So here now I would just explain you, as I've already explained you, how to connect the power source to the instrument, and we are switching it on, and here the current switches are having is displayed in low, medium and high. This being a granitic terrain, we need less current, so we would place it in low. In the sedimentary regions, we place it in medium. If it is more saline, then we should keep it in high. Terrain, I placed it now in low, and let us start the operation. Here you can see new logging and from file. Actually, as we are doing new logging, we will be taking new logging. You would find new file, location, logging number and so on. Here you have up log and down log. As we are up logging, select up logging, and being a new log, we should take new file. Once you click new file, the folder opens with the date and time of it. You can add the location as well here. We have taken it as Krishnapuram, and then press OK. This gets saved in the folder. We have a folder been created. This gets saved up in the particular folder. Now just type in the location in the location option. As we have selected up logging, it's taken as up logging. You should take the depth. Depth is meters. Date is also by default, date and time is there. You can give a logging number if required. Name, depth you have already fed. If the GPS is connected, automatically the lat long position is displayed. As there is no GPS, those parameters are not getting highlighted. We can feed certain note in this if required and save info. Select log graph. Now your logging operation is started. Now the graph plotted N16 in orange, N64 in blue, lateral in pink, SP in green. Here we need to give the initial depth, that is the present depth 48 meters, and start the operation. You can observe the graph is plotted here. And the graph continues this way. You can observe N16, N64 and lateral plotting here. This way the graph continues up to the top level. After the graph is completed, select stop option, graph, and save the graph and give a name to it and save it. Just for information, I would like to highlight that the next version of our instrument is Dmpl 3. The additional features is it comes with gamma and caliper. There is an additional probe, gamma and caliper. Joining together, it gives you the value of gamma and caliper dimension of the bore. Here, the procedure is once you do the resistivity values, the probe is removed and gamma and caliper probe is lowered into the bore. It is probed as it is as lower level, say 48 meters. And in this case, we will not speak down logging. We will only speak up logging because here the caliper measurement we are taking care and the arms open this way. If you are doing down logging, you might damage the arms. We would conclude the demonstration of Dmpl 2. The next video would be continued explaining about the model Dmpl 3.